All right, guys, here we go. Test, test, test. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So today, okay, this might not work. It might not last the whole time. We're gonna see. Let's see what we can do. Anyway, so today I've got a MacBook. It looks like a MacBook Pro from 2019. That's in. It needs a new battery. So my goal here today is just to go ahead and get that battery replaced, get signed in, and make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. This guy contacted me yesterday, and I was able to get a new battery overnighted. So we're going to see how well this works out with my new camera here. I've got some debris on the desk from work I did yesterday, so I'm going to try and be extra careful because I don't want to scratch up this MacBook. So anyway, we're going to start with getting out the proper screwdrivers. The screwdriver and bits, I should say. Now, usually I do this on my mat, but my mat's kind of buried under some stuff right now, so we're not going to bother with that at the moment. But the battery of the action pod is too low. Okay, that's fine. As long as the actual camera is still running, we are good. I think the action pod is just the thing that it sits in, so we'll see. The camera says it's at 100% battery. I think it's because the action pod actually charged it up, is why it's dead, or why it's dying. Anyway, let's go ahead and pull these screws out. So on these MacBooks, you use a P5 pentalobe screwdriver to pull out these screws. And they're not captive. They're just kind of sitting there. And the magnetism of this is not that strong, so that's why you're not seeing it just fly right out with the screwdriver. But if I take my magnetized screwdriver and just go around the outside, and pull them all out. That's all there is to that. Now, generally I use my suction cup, but I don't think that's nearby here. But I think I can get my fingernail under it today, so I don't really need a suction cup to pull this up. I'm not a fan of the slide-in mechanism on these, though. That's kind of annoying. So, that's pulled. So you can kind of see where the battery sits in here. It's in an annoying spot, but, you know, it's glued down on either side here. So basically what I have to do is take my isopropyl alcohol, which I have a big bottle of it right here, which is so big that you can't even see it because it's out of frame, but there you go. I'm not actually going to end up spraying that on there. I'm going to use one of my smaller containers and inject some of that isopropyl alcohol 99% down underneath of here. But I'm not going to do that until I officially pull the battery because I don't really want to short anything out. So the first step is to take this little tab and pull that out right there. And then actually the next bit that I need to get out is a T4 bit. At least I believe it's a T4. Could be a T5. I'm going to go with a T4 just because it's smaller and I think that's the way to go. So there's a teeny little piece here. Just take that, flip it up and pull it back. And then you can take my pentalobe bit out of there. And yep, it's definitely T4. So glad I didn't do the T5 screw. So I'll pull that T4 screw out of there, set that aside. We'll flip this guy up. So now the battery is officially unhooked from the motherboard. So the next step, and I guess I shouldn't say motherboard because it's technically a logic board, right? That's what Apple refers to it as. So the next step is literally going to be pulling this battery out of here. And it's not screwed in, it's glued in. And this is why I have a hard time with doing these for less than an hour's worth of labor, because they end up taking a bunch more time and really are not super safe to pull out. So I guess there is one more piece I have to do first, and that is pull the trackpad screws out and just unhook that, since that overlaps the battery. Those utilize the same T4 screws. I'll do that. And you pull the cover off because it's got a little sticky cover on it. And then you just pop that ribbon cable on that trackpad. And that's all there is to it. Then you pull that ribbon cable for the trackpad back and just kind of lay it back here. And it should stay back there for the most part on its own without issues. And then from this point is where I can truly get started. So give me 1 second and I will find my isopropyl alcohol here. I have a bunch of little bottles. And I threw them somewhere, but I don't remember where. All I know is they're super handy. And very usable in a time like this. There, not there. Creepy photo of my dad. Okay, well I thought I put them in there. This is me and my disorganized self. Ah, here we go. Here's the one I'm looking for anyway. It's just hiding on my shelf behind everything. No big deal. And we're back. So, this doesn't have much in it, so I'm going to go ahead and refill this real quick, just using the bottle that I have sitting here at the desk. And then we'll get started. Pulling this battery out. Yeah, we don't have a ton of battery left on the main station of this camera. I hope that doesn't drastically impact anything. It might. There we go. That's enough isopropyl alcohol for that. There we are. So before I start digging at this and putting this alcohol underneath, I'm going to make sure that this lid is on tight. We're going to make sure that the tip is in there and that it shoots out appropriately, which it looks like it does. So we're good on that. We'll set that right there for a second. And next step is to grab your pry tool. Now, this battery pack that I usually buy for people, it does come with a pry tool in it. And honestly, it's the best one. So if you buy one of these Isopropyl batteries off of Amazon, they're typically really good quality, and they've got these different pry tools that come with them. They'll be like, oh yeah, wear the gloves. I never wear gloves when I work on stuff, mostly because I have a hard time working on stuff when I've got a gloved hand. Unless the glove is like super tight on my hand, to the point where I can't even really tell that it's there, then I'll wear it, but that's not oftentimes the case. So, and I'm going to make this probably look a little easier than it really is, but don't be fooled. It's only because I've done it so much. It's not that simple. So I would not advise trying this at home, but if you're going to, just make sure that your battery is fully unhooked like this and that the tab is lifted on your MacBook. So I like to arrange it this direction just so that I can get a good shot at it from the underside here. Then you're going to take your isopropyl alcohol, you're just going to run it along that bottom bit there, and you'll start to hear the isopropyl alcohol doing the work. And then take that and just kind of let it run up towards the top. You're going to tilt your MacBook up towards the top so that until you start to see that liquid run up there. And I'm starting to see some of it. And then we'll take it and pull it this way. And then that liquid should start to run that direction. So then, once you've done that, you take your little pry tool here and you kind of start to just work your way around the outside. Now, you want to stay away from the metal tools as much as possible, especially because you're working with a lithium-ion battery here. And lithium-ion batteries can be very dangerous when they come into contact with metal. That's why they give you plastic pry tools instead. If there's ever a time that you see me working on a battery with a with a metal tool, it's usually because it's incredibly difficult to get out anyway. But now that we have that isopropyl alcohol under there, it pulls up pretty easily. And you can see that that isopropyl alcohol started to penetrate the adhesive there along the battery. And there's just 3 big adhesive strips there. So we're going to repeat that process with the next 2 sections of battery here, because there's 3 giant sets of cells. And so we're going to take the isopropyl alcohol, and we're going to go now for this side over here. Repeat the process. We'll take the bottle, we'll put some IPA on the bottom here. My bottle's not perfect, it's a little drippy from somewhere. I don't know where that's coming from. I actually find that bottle to be really annoying because I've been having that problem with it for a little bit. And we'll just, again, wait till the liquid runs down. You can start to see it on this side of the battery over here. It just means that it's run through and started to penetrate. And if you don't see that after about 30 seconds, just add some more. The beautiful thing about isopropyl alcohol is that it does dry up incredibly fast. So any risk that you worry about running of, you know, oh, I'm going to liquid damage my computer, you really won't. And we dry it up really well before we continue on this process. Also, the other beautiful thing about this is that the battery compartment is separated by metal from the logic board. So if you do worry about that, don't. You don't really need to. Because Apple designs their body so that the battery sits a little separately, at least for the outer cells. The inner cell, not so much, but the outer cell, definitely. We're just going to kind of work that spudger underneath it there, trying to chop some of this sticky residue, and then we should see this start to pull up here pretty soon, pretty easily. And there we go. All right, so that cell is now done too. Now this is the part where it gets to be a little bit tricky, because this center cell, you don't want to use as much isopropyl alcohol on the center cell, because realistically this is where you would potentially run into issues with liquid damage. Again, this is a 99% isopropyl alcohol solution, so it's highly unlikely that you'll end up with that kind of a situation, but it's not entirely impossible, right? So I don't think there's any screws holding this in either. I think it's literally just, I could be wrong, there are screws up here, but I don't think that they're holding it down. Maybe they are. Yep, they are. Okay. I didn't recall having to remove screws for this before, but I felt like one of them were redundant. But anyway, this is the part of the battery that sits right next to the logic board here. It's just there's like a little, it's the part that you unplug basically to move the battery out. So, and again, we keep that tab bent back. We run no risk of shorting anything out because this battery is getting unhooked right now. So, okay. So with this one, because we don't want to risk liquid damage going towards the logic board, we want to keep the liquid away from the logic board. We're going to take the isopropyl alcohol and we're going to start it on this side. And we're just going to go shove a little bit in right in here. And yep, I am dripping some of this on the logic board, but it's going to be okay. Because like I said, it dries really fast. Alright, so that's going to go down towards the trackpad, which is what we want. And then we're just going to take our little spudger here. Now the middle is a little bit of a challenge from a logistics standpoint. You don't really want to be too aggressive with it because you don't want to ruin the trackpad. Because with the trackpad sitting right underneath of it, you have to be a little gentle. So a lot of times what I'll try to do is just pull on it. There we go. We're in there now. Okay, we're under the adhesive. I really do miss the days of Apple just screwing the batteries in place, because gluing them down, I know it's cost savings, but man alive, it's a lot of work. Scoot this cell out of the way. It's there we go. And we're gonna wedge this up a little bit more. Oh no. Well, I owe them a new trackpad. Unfortunately, coming at it from that angle, I did break the trackpad cable, which is highly unusual. I've never done that before. But it did get in the way. So it looks like the trackpad cable came out and it did break underneath of there. So this is just one way that you can show mistakes do happen. It's not 100% every single time, but a trackpad cable and a new trackpad is relatively inexpensive in comparison to what I could be on the hook for, which is a lot more. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and pull this back through here. So, removal of the trackpad. So you see this cable right here? This is what broke. And unfortunately, I don't have a good way of putting it back together. When you're removing these batteries, things like this can happen, and it's really, really important to be extra safe about it, because mistakes like this do happen all the time. Unfortunately, it's something I have to replace now, so I'm going to get online and find a battery for it, or not a battery, a new cable for them. But that being said, I mean, it's not the end of the world, it's just a cable. So let's see what that will run me. I have a part number on it, at least I believe that's what that is. It is 821-02218 -02. Trackpad flex cable, $9.99. That's not that bad. And I can get it overnighted. So yeah, simple mistake, not a huge deal. I can reroute that cable pretty easily, and it's even going to be relatively simple for me to get it replaced in here. So I'm not really too worried about it. Little ribbon cable just flips up, and that's all there is to it. Cool, add to cart. Sometimes when you work on people's computers, you make mistakes, and as long as you fix them, it's okay. I'm just gonna have to tell my customer, hey, it is gonna be here tomorrow morning, and it was my bad because I broke that ribbon cable. Ugh. Okay, beautiful. Alright, I'm going to give him a call real quick and just let him know, but for the purpose of this video, I can't replace the battery right now because, well, you know, we're still kind of in it. We have to wait for that cable to show up in order to get this done right. So, thanks for watching for now, guys. I'll come back once I have an update for you. Alright, well, I contacted the customer and he was extremely cool about it as long as it didn't cost him any extra, and since it's my mistake, of course it's not going to cost him any extra, because why would it? Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this. There's some leftover isopropyl alcohol that seems to be oozing out of the crevices here, and it's gonna dry, but I don't know. A little picky about that. Anyway, you can see these adhesive strips are the reason that sometimes things don't go quite as planned. And if you ever wondered why Apple is such a problem for a lot of people to repair, it's because of this. It's these little situations like this where you could just simply want to replace a battery, and when you get a regular laptop, it's just screws that hold it in. It's not glue that holds your battery in place. Like, effectively, this is glue. With how difficult it is to get out, with what you have to do to remove it, it's glue. And it's super uncool of you, Apple, to be adding glue to your batteries. I miss the days when you would simply have little bits to screw in, and it was really nice because just like 5 screws and your battery would come out. But now it's a whole bunch of isopropyl alcohol and prying and everything else, and then the battery comes out. So not what you expect, not really what you want, at least if you're a technician. But you know, it's part of the issue of working on these things. This is why newer MacBooks have like sort of a base level service repair that I do to them and nothing more. I can't do any of the micro soldering. I can replace a screen and a Wi-Fi cable, and if your hinges are broken, I can do that. Most physical damage I can take care of, with the exception of, like, you know, I can't obviously fix liquid damage. We can try to remediate some of that and get your MacBook booted, but definitely is not 100% guaranteed. So I'm gonna just keep pulling glue out here, and then I'll shelf this until tomorrow when it's when we get that touchpad cable in for Caleb. So, oh, I just said his name. Probably shouldn't have done that. I will just edit that out in post. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll just, basically the process for installing the battery is just the same, it's just in reverse. So new battery comes with all the same little pieces and all that stuff, so it's fairly straightforward and super easy to put in. And it's actually easier than the removal, because the removal involves potentially breaking things. So like I said, thanks for watching, and I'll try to record that piece tomorrow. What's up, guys? We're back another day. As you remember, 5 seconds ago in the video, I tore this cable. This is the cable for the trackpad when trying to remove the battery, because the battery, it sits right above the trackpad, and the cable runs right underneath of it. So naturally, I tore it on accident. Because Apple decides that everything that goes in their machines has to be glued in terms of batteries. So I did button this up for the evening last night and just kind of set everything aside. So pull these screws out that I put in here. I just set them in the battery bay here. That way I could keep track of them easily. But thanks to Amazon for coming in clutch with a new trackpad cable inside of an envelope, inside of a plastic baggie, and we wonder why the world has so much garbage. Because we triple up packaging on everything. Anyway, here is the new cable. And you can see that this one is all in one piece. So let's go ahead and get that installed here real quick. If I'm remembering correctly, it goes... I don't know why that stopped. It's obviously still recording, but I dislike that it doesn't show me the preview. If I'm remembering correctly, this actually goes this way. And I have to do it like this so that I don't end up hurting anything. So we slide the cable underneath of that metal piece right there. We're going to flip up this little hinge here. That's kind of the cable locking mechanism there. slide that trackpad cable into its slot. We'll wiggle it a little bit just to make sure that it's in there all the way. And grab the tweezers and just give it a nice little push. So I'm not about to halfway install something. Kind of looks like it was in there all the way, but you never know. Everybody likes to call while I have my videos going, and I actually find that incredibly annoying. Alright. Now. Alright, I'm back. Let's get this done. So I got the trackpad cable in place here. The only thing I don't like about this cable is that it looks like it's not all the way in. It's got a little bit of exposed whatever here on the end, but there's no way to push it in further because it's in there all the way. I don't really want to damage anything, so we're just going to push that back down and leave it. So trackpad cable is in. That's the part that needed to be replaced after what I messed up yesterday. So that part's done. Let's go ahead and get the battery put in. And now I don't really like to glue the battery back down because I think that's a little stupid, but I think the new battery does come with the adhesive already pre-applied. So kind of what we're going to get stuck doing anyway, which is annoying, but... And I got most of this adhesive out yesterday, but there were a couple little bits I did not. There we go. Pull these out. This is really tough to... I'm not even really sure I care that much. Not even really sure he'll care that much, but I like to do right by my customer, so we'll get it all pulled up and cleaned out. Oh my gosh, not if it continues to strand like this though. No, we will not. Come on. All right. That took a long time for very little payoff. Okay. Oh my goodness. I really should have done all this off camera yesterday. I got most of them out yesterday because there's 3 little strips of this stupid thin adhesive that's like incredibly sticky per bay of the battery. But anyway, okay. We're all good now. We're all cleaned out, so no worries there. Let's go grab that other battery and we'll get that installed. I don't like that it doesn't show my screen constantly. That's one thing I like it to keep on as my screen while I record, because I want you guys to actually see what I'm doing here. Anyway, let's see. Is there a way to keep that up? I don't know. Anyway, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. That took me all of 2 seconds to hop up and grab that. So, new battery is right here. And I believe it has adhesive on the bottom of it as well. Like I say, I don't think the adhesive is really a necessity on the bottom of the batteries, but we're gonna do it anyway because it's what Apple factory wanted everything to be. So here we go. We're gonna just go ahead and lay this battery in position here. And make sure that this cable is out of the way. And battery is semi in position here. Semi. For some reason that laid back down. Okay, perfect. So now we got that there. We'll just grab our screwdriver, which is right here, and it still has our T4 screw bit on it, our T4 bit on it, so that we can put everything back. My goodness. Once I get this particular piece screwed in place, then it kind of positions everything else for success in here. There we go. There's that one. And then there's this one. Keep the screen on, please. Thank you. There's that. Okay, so now you can obviously see that the battery is kind of just floating here. I'm going to take this little plastic cover thing off here. We'll let it, we'll kind of let it do its thing. Get these into position, and I'm gonna lay that trackpad cable down. Yes. Okay, so trackpad cable's in position. Looking good. Looking good, kind of. It actually looks a little lopsided to me, but I know it's in there all the way. I think it only looks lopsided because of the way that the cable is laying on top of the battery. Like I said, it's not perfect, but all right. Battery is in there. Now all we really have to do is plug the battery in, put the cover back on the trackpad cable, which I can do that really quick. And then we'll be good to go. And just test and make sure everything actually works, and that'll be that. Okay, I think the screen turns off on this automatically just to try and save battery, but I don't like it. I like being able to see. Okay. Come on. There we go. Now she's in. Ivy, go lay down in your bed. Go lay down in your bed. You know you don't get to lay on the couch. Our old dementia dog. Well, yeah, okay. I don't know if I've told you guys this. You probably heard it on other videos if you've watched long enough, but we adopted this old dog. And her name is Ivy, and she's an absolute sweetheart, but she is not all there mentally. And we think we've discovered what's going on is that she has dementia. She doesn't really seem to do well. From time to time, she'll just stand up and look at the wall, or stand up and stare at the couch, or not really remember where she is, and that's kind of a problem. She forgets how to go up steps. She forgets how to go down steps. She forgets that there's a wall somewhere, so she smacks her head really hard. And, you know, you feel bad for her, but it's also kind of funny. I just wish we could have given her a better life before she reached this point, but we didn't know about her. We weren't at the stage of life where we were available to her, I guess I should say. Not she was available to us. All right, so this is kind of in. What I'm going to do is just lift it up. There's that little tiny ribbon cable that goes with the battery here. And again, you're not going to be able to see this because of the angle at which you're positioned here, but plugging it in. And we're going to go ahead and lock it into position and stick it down. And now basically all we have to do is put the bottom cover on, plug it in and test it and make sure everything actually works. That's the important next step. So I'm just gonna lay that bottom cover over top of it. Actually, I'm gonna push it back into position because if all goes well, then I'll just screw it back together. Now, most times things go pretty well with these, so I'm not too terribly concerned, but it's something that we just need to double check on. So without further ado, we'll flip it open here and we'll see what we get. There we go. Now it shouldn't turn on without being plugged in first. Most times they don't. So I don't actually expect that. But I'm gonna try. I think I have a cable down here that'll work for it. Unfortunately, I always have some sort of a mess of cables around my desk, and one of those cables usually involves a MacBook charger, so. As if I'm not doing something like a battery swap, I'm doing a screen replacement. So, let's go ahead and see if it turns on now. Aha, there's the sound. Alright, and there's that Mac logo. We'll wait for it to load up here really quick. Alright. Okay, that looks really good, and it looks like the mouse is working just fine, so no problems there. Let me try and click in here. Yep, it works. Good. Good. All right. That's been another repair from BG Tech Repair, or I should say, Brandon the IT guy. Again, if you like this content, like the video, give me a subscribe too, because I love making stuff like this, and I love you guys, my audience. So, again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.